Good afternoon. My name is Josh Perkey, and I'm going to be walking you through a data analysis using the R software package on punting impact analysis. This is a look at the punting data in the National Football League. Play in the National Football League consists of three phases. There's the offense that's consistently trying to score points, the defense that's trying to stop the offense, and the special teams. Our focus here is special teams. This is when the ball transitions from offense to defense between the two clubs that are playing. Specifically, we're going to look at the punt play. Punting is when the offense has decided they are no longer going to attempt to score. Either they're out of downs or they're in a bad situation in the game, and they are going to kick the ball to the opponent. The effects, the outcome of the punt play is what we're going to take a look at. We want to see how much of an impact the different outcomes of punt plays have on whether the kicking team wins or loses the game. The rule of thumb here is to avoid disaster during any special teams play. Turns out it can be very influential on the outcome of the game. You also, during a punt play, want to avoid the punt returner. You do not want the player who is going to receive the punt and try and improve his team's field position before the play is over. You don't want that person to be able to field the ball or go very far once they do. For this analysis, I used the general linear model. An exponential regression was best. We have a binomial dependent variable here, that is whether the punting team wins or loses. Those are the only two results. And so the vectors that I used to analyze the impact on that result came from a data set that was pulled off of NFL.com. I got it through Kaggle.com. Of course, data munging was necessary to begin some filtering out. I narrowed down to the punting data for the 2009 to the 2016 season. Needed to transform some of the numbers into numeric state so that they could be used in the various formulae. And I needed to run the GLM regression more than once. You can see the results of the first run here, just a quick peek, and a few of the vectors were not significant. They were deemed not significant, and so I needed to remove those and then run the regression again. Real quick though, you can see right at the top the negative influence that a blocked punt and a punt returned for a touchdown have on on whether or not the punting team wins the game. Let's take a look. Let's take a look at the second run for the general linear model. We removed the insignificant vectors, and now we're only focused on the significant ones. Again, blocked punts and a punt returned for a touchdown have a huge impact in this analysis on whether or not the punting team wins the game. Of course, you're going to lose field position if a punt gets blocked, and you're going to give up points if the returner takes it all the way back for a touchdown. So that's going to be very important when we come to our conclusions. Of course, the simple fact that you're punting during the game gives the other team the ball, and it takes a little bit away from your opportunity to win. The next big observation I had here was between punting the ball inside the 20-yard line, the opponent's 20-yard line, so they're backed up against their own end zone, versus a touchback when the football when the punted football rolls into the end zone. The play is blown dead by the referee, so there's no return. And the receiving team, their offense comes out onto the field at the 20-yard line. So you do give up the difference between the 20-yard line and where the punt may have landed in front of the goal line. It's a very exciting play for a punt to land inside the 5-yard line at the goal line. Much ado is made about getting the punt as close as possible to that goal line. However, it turns out if you look at the coefficient on this analysis, a touchback is actually more of an influencer, a positive influencer, in the punting team winning the game. Getting inside the 20-yard line is great at 0.22, but a touchback is just fine. It increases your chance of winning by 0.3. Then I wanted to take a look at the probability analysis, a quick histogram to see how often these most influential factors actually happen. Turns out a block punt and a punt return for a touchdown don't happen very often, as you can see here. Now this is data for all the games between 2009 and 2016. You can see how low it is. The second observation between the punt down inside the 20-yard line and the touchback revealed that these two outcomes happen far more often than the previous disastrous ones. Teams are gunning to get that punt as close to the opponent's goal line as possible and give them the length of the field in order to score any points. Again, the touchback happens more often than nailing it inside the 20-yard line. But again, not such a bad thing. So in conclusion here, the magnitude of the blocked punts and the punts returned for a touchdown cannot be downplayed. It is obviously very important. It has a very negative impact on the punting team's ability or their chance of winning the game. And we saw a notable difference between a touchback and a punt being down inside the 20-yard line, which was surprising. The takeaways for NFL clubs, if they would pay me to coach, I'd tell them to avoid the block punt and the punt return for a touchdown at all costs. They already know this, but perhaps not so much emphasis needs to be paid on paying a big time punter, somebody with a big leg. It's more important to just get the ball off than it is to actually go for distance. Secondly, don't give the punt returner the opportunity to run. Whatever, if you can get the ball into the end zone for a touchback, that's going to be to your advantage. Downing a punt inside the 20-yard line, not as great as we thought it was. When you see a punting special teams unit down the ball inside the 5, inside the 2, they get very, very excited about it. But as we show, the data shows that you shouldn't be disappointed with a touchback because it actually is slightly better than getting the ball inside the 20. Thank you very much for your time. I hope we learned something. NFL is a very popular sport in the United States, and I thought there were some pretty interesting takeaways from this particular project. Have a great day.